Hey everybody, you're here from VidGamiac.com. Here we are today doing Silence the House, and we're going for all of the achievements. This is going to be yet another visual novel. Thankfully, there are no settings that we have to mess around with, so we can get into the game right away. Start up a new game, and then what you want to do is want to make sure you get past the intro. As soon as you get into the game, what you can do is you can hit the start button to open up the menu. Make sure you click on the middle option on the top row, which is going to be the skip. That's going to be this game's version of fast forward. Skip ahead until you get to the first choice. Make sure you pick the topmost choice, so pick yes. And then after that, you should be good for the first achievement of the game, which is going to be Savior for 90 gamer score. That's actually going to be the only achievement of this playthrough. However, we are going to have to finish this until the ending in order to get to the ending, as we are going to have an achievement later on to get all of the bad endings. So just hit start and then use a skip feature and then just skip forward until you get to the last text bit and then get kicked back to the main menu. Once we are back on the main menu, we're going to start up playthrough number 2. So start up a new game again and then get past the intro. Once you're in the game, make sure you hit start and then use the skip feature again and then skip forward until you get to the first choice. Make sure you pick the bottom one this time, so make sure you pick no. And then after that, you are going to then want to hit start, and then what you want to do is want to make sure you make a save. So we're going to save in slot number 1. We're going to be using these saves to save ourselves a bunch of extra time later for subsequent playthroughs. But once you have the save in place, just make sure you hit start and then make sure you use the skip feature again. Once you get to the next set of choices right here, make sure you pick the topmost one, which is going to be yes. And then as soon as you pick that, you should be good for another achievement right here. This one's going to be Blind Faith for 90 gamer score. Right after you have that, what you want to do next is you want to make sure you make another save. So hit the start button and make sure you save in slot number 2 this time. Again, we're going to be doing this to save ourselves a little bit of time in subsequent playthroughs. So we're going to use some save manipulation later on. Once you have that save in place, make sure you use the skip feature again and make sure you skip to the next choice. Now, once you get to the next choice, you're going to pick the topmost option, so stay and look at the execution. As soon as you have that selected, you don't want to skip right away. Instead, you want to tap the A button to get through the text. You're going to keep going until you get to the achievement trigger, which is going to get you this achievement called the deadliest mistake for 90 gamer score. As soon as you have the achievement unlocked, it's going to be safe to use the fast forward. So hit start and then make sure you use the skip, and then just make sure you get to the ending, which should kick you back to the main menu. So on to playthrough number 3. If you had the foresight to make those saves in the earlier parts, you can skip most of the beginning part. So just head to load and make sure you load up the save that you have in slot number 1. As soon as you get into the game, make sure you hit start and then start skipping right away. And then you're going to keep going until you get to the first choice. So this time around, what you want to do is make sure you pick the bottom option, which is going to be no, and then just make sure you start skipping after making that choice. There aren't going to be any achievements in this playthrough, however, we do need to get to the end in order to get one of the bad endings for that particular achievement. So make sure you just skip all the way to the end, get back to the main menu. Once back out onto the main menu, what you want to do is want to make sure you start up the next playthrough. So for this one, we're going to go to load again, and we're going to load up the save we have in slot number 2. And then as soon as we get to the game, we're going to get back to fast forwarding until we get to the next choice. Now, once you get to the next choice, we're going to pick the bottommost choice, which is going to be to return to the house. Now, right after the choice, we are going to have to use the A button in order to get through the text manually, as we're going to have to get to the next achievement trigger before we can pick up our skipping.
What a thrill
So after a little while, we should finally get the achievement trigger, which is going to get us the dentist is at your service. This one is going to be for another 90 gamer score. Right after you get the achievement, it's time to make another save. It's going to save us a bunch of time. So make sure you make that save in slot number 3. And then we have one last choice to make in this playthrough, which thankfully we can use the skip again. So hit that start button, make sure you go to skip, and then just skip forward until you get to that particular choice. So, bright side is this choice is going to be the last one of this playthrough. Make sure you pick choice number 1, which is going to be of course. Now, the downside is right after that, the rest of the achievements in this playthrough are going to require that we get through the rest of the game manually without the skip. So, just start mashing the A button like crazy until you get back to the main menu. First achievement trigger is going to be right after the choice. It's going to be having fun with Mr. Bubbles for a 90 gamer score. And then we're going to get back to our A button presses, and we're going to do this until we get to an ending. The next achievement trigger should be at the start of the epilogue. This one's going to be Healthy American Family for a 90 gamer score. Then for the rest of this playthrough, we're just going to hammer that A button to get through the entirety of the epilogue. Now, this one is going to be the last one of the bad endings, so we should be good for the Dead Man achievement for 90 gamer score after this playthrough. We should now be on the end credits. You can't skip this, unfortunately. However, if you quit out of the game and relaunch it, that will actually get you back to the main menu super fast, so make sure you do that instead. Then the last playthrough we need is going to be to load up save number 3 and just make a single choice. So thankfully we can skip past most of the game if we do this. Once we get here, make sure you start skipping right away. So hit that start button, go to skip, and then make sure you get to the one and only choice that we have to make. This time around, we're going to pick the bottom choice, which is going to be choice number 2. So pick decide yourself, and that should get you to the last ending we need. Now, even though there aren't going to be any choices left to be made in this playthrough, we are going to have to use the A button to manually advance the text, as we are going to have to get through the next few achievement triggers or so. So you're going to keep this up until you reach the start of the epilogue, which should yield us our last achievement. So we don't have to play through the epilogue, thankfully. First achievement is going to be right here. It's going to be Penguin San for 90 gamer score, and we're just going to keep up on our A button presses until we get to the end. You should get one right here called Family Ties for another 90 gamer score. Next achievement up is going to be at the end of this scene. This one's going to be turn off that damn music for another 90 gamer score. Then finally, once we start the epilogue, we should be good for the last achievement of the game. There it is, easy play for 100 gamer score for getting the quote-unquote true ending. That should also be where our completion is, so hopefully you enjoy that. That's going to be another easy visual novel in the bag, and that's all there is to it.